In recent times, the iceberg has become a popular metaphorical device due to its unique attributes. Above the surface, a chunk of ice is bright and visible, while the much larger chunk of unseen ice below the surface often goes unnoticed. The metaphor has been most famously used to describe the relationship between the surface web and the deep web. Only a small chunk of the internet is easily accessible using a web browser and a search engine, while a much larger portion of the web is inaccessible to the mass public due to things like password protection and encryption, encompassing things like cloud storage. More recently, the iceberg has been used to describe various aspects of a given video game or community, with well-known things being placed near the top, while more unknown or theoretical things are placed near the bottom. Recently, Red Ball community member MotorJam pieced together one of these icebergs by gathering various thoughts and ideas from the community. This video will aim to analyze just the first 3 layers of this iceberg, while the subsequent part will aim to explain the bottom 3. If you do end up enjoying this analysis, make sure to get subscribed to ensure you don't miss out on the next part. Making these kinds of icebergs and analyzing them in a YouTube video isn't exactly a new idea, but I hope that you enjoy watching and learning about the various aspects of the Red Ball series and the speedrunning scene that surrounds it. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. Tier 1 is the most visible part of the iceberg, the tip. Many of the topics found here are very common knowledge within the Red Ball community and aren't really that much of a secret, having full illumination from the sun. Believe it or not, the creator of Red Ball, Evgeny Fedosov, provided the 12-level source code of Red Ball to the community under a non-commercial license, without us even asking. This source code has been used to create various hacks of the game. On YouTube, the mobile version of Red Ball 4 has an immense amount of popularity with the very young demographic, with dozens upon dozens of videos of the game amassing over 10 million views. Most channels that have focused their content around this game often make very clickbaity videos covering texture hacks of the game. In Red Ball 4 Volume 3, there is currently a strategy called 13 Laser Phase, which has yet to be used in any of the game's world records. It involves building up just enough speed and getting lucky enough to phase through this laser without having to activate the button needed to do so, which ultimately saves around 8 seconds. The fact that the lasers deal damage over time is used in other levels as well, but 13 Laser Phase is by far and away the hardest of them, having a success rate of, at best, 10%. Red Ball 5 is an unofficial entry in the Red Ball series, with the Red Ball IP having been licensed by one of Evgeny's friends. The game originally featured a completely different protagonist, but Red Ball was swapped in at the last minute of development. The game is often criticized for having sloppy controls and physics, very dissimilar to the games in the original series, and for having a fixed camera that seemingly teleports from room to room. Red and Blue Balls is an official side series of Red Ball, focusing more on the puzzle aspect of the game, while also having 2 playable characters, Red Ball and Blue Ball. The first game in this series, Red and Blue Balls 1, proved to be extremely difficult and confusing to new players due to the many of its completely unintuitive puzzles. Pause jumping is a glitch present in both Red Ball 2 and Red Ball 3 that allows the player to execute 2 jumps on the exact same frame by buffering the second jump through the pause menu. This allows the effect of the 2 jumps to be compounded, giving Red Ball at least double the height of a normal jump. In Red Ball 3, this trick is relatively easy. The player simply needs to hit pause and jump on the same frame, continue to hold jump during the boing sound effect, and then press the P button to unpause the game, while continuing to hold the jump button. The trick is a bit more difficult in Red Ball 2 because the pause button actually needs to be pressed a few frames after jumping, instead of being right on the jump. The process of performing these tricks is covered in my double jump tutorial for the Red Ball series, so check it out if you haven't already. An IL sum of best is the theoretical best possible time in any game, given by the best segments performed in each level. In the Red Ball series, Red Ball has by far the most optimized sum of best, with the current time as of writing this video being 2:42, which is 25 seconds faster than the already amazing current world record of 3:07. Many of the strategies in the IL Sum of Best have little hope of ever making their way into a world record due to their sheer difficulty and inconsistency, but it's still crazy how low the theoretical limit of the game actually is. Low percent is a category in both Red Ball 4 Volume 1 and Red Ball 3 that involves collecting the least amount of stars and points possible. In Red Ball 4 Volume 1, all stars can be avoided, with only 1,000 points being awarded by the Boss Loss trophy at the end of the game. Red Ball 3, on the other hand, can be completed with just 10 points, with 1 star having to be collected at the start of 19. Many strategies to avoid these stars are extremely difficult, such as the crate roll in level 9 of Red Ball 4 Volume 1 and the entirety of level 19 in Red Ball 3, which currently makes up 17 minutes of the 32-minute long world record. The Red Ball 4 games all have weird quirks with their double jump timings, a glitch which allows Red Ball to jump first on the ground and then again in the air. Volumes 1 and 2 allow both a shorter timing and a more spaced out timing, while Volume 3 only allows for the much more spaced out timing, which gives Red Ball less speed. Candy Crush Saga is a mobile game created by King, the same King that sponsored Red Ball, Red Ball 2, and Red and Blue Balls, hosting the full versions of these games on their site. After King's mobile releases gained massive traction, the King.com website was wiped clean of any Flash games, including Red Ball, being replaced with promotion for Candy Crush Saga and other mobile games. Many people mistakenly believe that FDG, a video game company known for creating games like Monster Boy, created Red Ball 4 Mobile, but they only really had a hand in publishing the game and releasing it to the App Store and Play Store. The company that actually programmed the game is known as Yo-Ho-Ho Games, which was founded by the original creator of Red Ball, Evgeny Fedosov. The company has created a handful of games, but Red Ball 4 Mobile has by far been their greatest success. Sub 20 Train is a very inconsistent and difficult strategy that allows level 11 of Red Ball to be completed in under 20 seconds, saving 7.5 or more seconds over the normal method of completion. This trick used to not be known by many people due to its absence from the world record, but due to the YouTube algorithm deciding to put my video about it in front of tens of thousands of eyes, it really isn't that much of a secret anymore. Some of the hacks created using the Red Ball 1 source code include Kaizo Red Ball, a much more difficult version of the game that requires some out-of-the-box thinking in order to complete, a save state hack for practice, a Rick Astley hack that was made on April Fools, and Thick Ball. There's also an in-game timer hack for Red Ball 1 that is used for individual level runs, but this was not created with the source code since it needed to operate with all 17 levels of the game. Later on, in-game timer hacks were made for all of the other games in the series. Finally, there's also a Kaizo-style hack for Red Ball 4 Volume 1 called Red Ball 4 Volume Nice. Tier 2 of the iceberg is still above the surface, but the topics found here are more hidden and niche than they are at the very tip. Most of these topics will be known by those who have explored Red Ball for a while, but most newcomers will have limited knowledge of this tier. In 2019 and 2020, many emails were exchanged between Evgeny, Red Ball's creator, and I, where he answered various questions that community members had about his games. It is through these conversations that he shared the 12-level source code of Red Ball with the community. He also hinted at a Red Ball 4 Switch port and a new Red Ball 4 mobile volume by the end of 2020, but the current world event ended up pushing those things back indefinitely. In the Red Ball pause menu, there's an extremely obvious typo, as the game reads, "Are you want to quit?" instead of "Are you sure you want to quit?" It is possible that Evgeny's limited knowledge of the English language at the time caused this error. The mistake actually goes unnoticed by most people who play the game, with many only noticing it months after they first start playing, causing it to be in the second tier of the iceberg. In 2013, Evgeny gave a presentation at a Flash game conference, where he shared behind-the-scenes info about the creation of the games in the Red Ball series. The video of this presentation is available on YouTube and can be found by searching Eugene Fedosov. In Red Ball, Red Ball 2, and Red and Blue Balls, there are 5 bonus levels that could only be played on King.com, the website that sponsored them. In Red Ball, the levels are pretty standard. In Red Ball 2, Red Ball boasts his crown that he gained at the end of the main game. And the bonus levels in Red and Blue Balls parody Civvy Balls, another ball-related game that was sponsored by King.com. These levels are now accessible outside of the website as a result of changing a single variable in the game's code from false to true. Though the Red Ball games aren't exactly made to be pieced together into one coherent narrative, the community has tried their best at putting together a lore timeline for all the games in the series. This timeline starts out with Red Ball 1, as Red Ball has the most limited moveset and there are no enemies to be found. Aside from the ninja, of course. Next up is Red Ball 3, where Red Ball's girlfriend is kidnapped by an enemy. Upon being defeated, Black Ball vows to return to enact his revenge. Next up is the Red Ball 4 volumes, where enemy black boxes, led by the Black Ball from Red Ball 3, try to turn all of the Red Balls into red boxes. And our protagonist, Red Ball, is able to free his species by defeating a couple of bosses. If all of that wasn't weird enough, the black boxes then decide to take over the moon, turning it into a cube. Red Ball is able to vindicate the moon, but his girlfriend, first seen in Red Ball 3, is captured once again from a sudden opening that appears in the ground. This fulfills the "I will be back" promise from the ending cutscene of Red Ball 3. With the world now saved, Red Ball teams up with Blue Ball to go on some adventures. In Red and Blue Ball 1, they must recollect the gems they lost in a boat crash. In Red and Blue Balls 2, they continue their journey, getting into yet another crash, this time caused by a giant octopus. They explore the island that they wash up on and defeat an evil robot at the end of Red and Blue Balls 3, allowing them to escape. Returning home, Red Ball is greeted with thunderous excitement, being crowned the king of the monarchy of balls, due to his heroism and bravery in the Red Ball 4 volumes. In Red Ball 2, his crown gets blown away, and he has to go and search for it. Once he finally recollects his crown, he decides to take yet another vacation, completing some stages and going golfing with the crown atop his head. There are a couple of inconsistencies that poke a couple of holes in this theory, such as Red Ball being able to swim in Red Ball 3 but not in Red Ball 4, but for all we know, the black boxes could have poisoned the water supply or something. In late 2020, community member BNMC received an email in her inbox from Yohoho Games, Evgenie's company, sharing details about a YouTuber promotion they were doing for a new mobile game in the Red Ball series. This information was shared with other members of the community, who were able to receive the same email by submitting their YouTube channels into a form of sorts. This game was supposed to release around the end of 2020. Yeah, you already know where this is going. The packages that we received included Red Ball 4 balloons, 2 sticker books, a Red Ball pop socket, and a letter from the company, electronically signed by Evgenie himself. Unfortunately for community member Jez, he didn't end up receiving anything, a testament to the true horrors of international shipping. Thankfully, I received 2 packages, and have 2 of everything, due to having 2 Red Ball related channels. I guess it all evens out in the end. Left Side is a glitch present in the Red Ball 4 games that involves going over the left side barrier of any given level, generally with the use of double jumping. The camera glitches out a bit and stops following Red Ball, but he is actually still moving, endlessly falling under the level. By holding the right key, the player can go beneath the entire level, activating the trigger to go to the next level at the end. This trick isn't used in speedruns due to it being much slower than normal completion of the level, but it does provide an easier way to beat some levels in Red Ball 4 volumes with 0 stars. Spike Glitch is a glitch in Red Ball that is activated by pausing and unpausing the game at any point. With enough speed, Red Ball will have a chance to be able to jump in spikes without dying. However, a weird quirk to this glitch is that the more that Red Ball is zoomed in, the more consistent that Spike Glitch becomes, with the impact being quite significant. Playing the game at a 1920 by 1080 resolution has been found to be the sweet spot between lag and Spike Glitch consistency. The original Red and Blue Balls game had a hint button that would show how to complete certain parts of each level. However, these hints used to actually cost real money to activate, a reality discovered while digging through the game's code. This may sound a bit ridiculous for a Flash game, but considering the payment schemes present in many mobile games these days, it's honestly not too outlandish. In Red Ball 3, the ground is extremely uneven, causing Red Ball to frequently be airborne whenever moving left and right. If Red Ball is even a few pixels off the ground, he will be unable to do a pause jump. So speedrunners have come up with consistent spots to pause jump at in order to prevent this from happening. Additionally, though it may not look like it, Red Ball 4 Volumes 1 and 2 also have slightly uneven ground. If Red Ball is even a pixel off the ground, a double jump will be impossible to perform, so speedrunners have also come up with consistent double jump spots in these games to prevent this from happening. There is a separate leaderboard on speedrun.com known as Red Ball Category Extensions, which houses additional categories for many games in the series. More notably, this leaderboard is also home to all of the individual level runs across the series, something that many people are unaware of. In Tier 3, we start navigating below the surface of the water, an area of the iceberg that is no longer visible to casual observers on the surface. Light still shines faintly on these topics, but their visibility is extremely limited. Few have discovered all that this tier has in store. Red and Blue Balls 2 and 3 are labeled as different games, but in reality, they share the exact same code and levels, with just a few minor tweaks in each to lock out the appropriate areas of the game. This was done because there was a payment screen at the end of Red and Blue Balls 2, which allowed people to immediately play Red and Blue Balls 3 before its release date, as long as they coughed up the cash. It has been joked about that the Red Ball games may have some sort of wrong warp present in them, where someone could skip several levels in a given game with some sort of complicated glitch. But we have yet to truly find anything of the sort. However, it was discovered that by disabling Flash's ability to locally store save files, many of the games would act in very strange ways. In Red Ball 1, the game will exit to the main menu after the completion of level 1, something that normally only happens after completing the entire game. In Red Ball 2, the game will hang after completion of level 1, and all levels will be unlocked when returning to the main menu. In the Red Ball 4 volumes, the game will not transition to the next level after reaching the right wall of level 1, but the level counter will constantly increase. Similar to Red Ball 2, the player can exit to the main menu, where all levels will be unlocked. Though these tricks do technically allow for the game to be completed extremely quickly, they are not allowed in any speedrun categories because they involve modifying the Flash gameplay environment. Similar to the Flash volumes, there is a double jump glitch present in Red Ball 4 Mobile, but the timing is typically a 60 frames per second frame-perfect trick on a touchscreen. Eventually, it was discovered that laggier phones were able to perform the trick with a much greater consistency. This posed a massive issue since people would essentially need to nerf their hardware in order to be able to do the trick. But thankfully, it was found that the Android emulator known as BlueStacks had an FPS slider which would allow the game to be played at a constant 30 frames per second with keyboard input. This did make the double jump trick more accessible, though glitchless is still by far the main category when it comes to speedrunning the game. Looking at a zoomed out view of level 17 in Red Ball, it can be seen that the level is made up of 2 crowns that are an almost exact replica of the King.com logo, something that is extremely hard to notice when just playing the game normally. Before creating Red Ball, Evgeny made a game known as Fast Stone Pyramid, a simple stacker game that made its way to addictinggames.com, to limited success. Like Red Ball, this game also used Box 2D for its physics, and allowed Evgeny to get his foot in the door when it came to programming physics sandbox-style games. Choking Girlfriend refers to a possible mistake in the last level of Red Ball 3, where someone fails to save Red Ball's girlfriend from the lowered cage, costing them the run. Though this is mainly a meme due to the ending being extremely easy with a visual setup, some runners still manage to lose a massive amount of time by failing this trick right at the end of their run. The Red Ball Elite refers to a Google Sheets document that contains leaderboards for individual level runs and full game runs of a Red Ball knockoff and for the aforementioned Fast Stone Pyramid. The document is a clear parody of TheElite.net, which tracks world records for GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. A runner by the name of Flower achieved a Red Ball world record of 3 minutes and 40 seconds on the 13th of April 2018. Less than a month later, it was removed from the leaderboards by moderator Sixrock under suspicion of it being spliced. However, the run ended up being 100% legitimate and was restored to the leaderboards in 2020. People in the community often joke that Sixrock removed the run out of jealousy of his world record being taken by Flower, but this definitely isn't true. He simply made an honest mistake when analyzing the audio of the run, using the non-deterministic car noise in level 8 to sync it up to a run that was known to be legitimate, causing an apparent discrepancy that didn't actually exist. In the Red Ball 4 games, it is possible to kill enemy boxes while they are still in mid-air, which could be utilized to save some time in the boss levels of volumes 1 and 2 in particular. The faster that the enemies are dealt with, the faster that the boss goes. However, this trick relies on landing on the corner of the enemy in an extremely specific spot, while also having to account for the fact that the enemy is flying towards the ground faster than the 20-mile-long asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. 3.133 seconds. It was originally believed that it was impossible to complete the first level of Red Ball in under 3.133 seconds, timing from the first frame that Red Ball appears. The run was simple. Start pressing right on the first frame possible, and then do a single jump over the barrier to collect the flag. That was essentially all that it took. The leaderboard once boasted a 12-way tie or so at this milestone, with it being touted as the new Glass Joe, in reference to the unbeatable record for defeating the first fighter of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Glass Joe. However, the apparent impossibility of beating 3.133 was uprooted through a video posted by a runner named Insane Jetman, with the title, "2 bounces are better than 1. By precisely jumping 2 times instead of 1, a runner could beat the level a single frame faster than what was believed to be possible. Though Jetman did appear to get a time as low as 3.050 through this process, it was discovered that lag and recording nonsense could cause different real times to be generated through the exact same movement. Using a new in-game timer hack made by yours truly, the new limit was found to be 3.097 seconds, with the previous limit actually being 3.129 seconds. Though Red Ball 4 is typically known as the only official Red Ball game available on mobile platforms, there are actually ports of Red Ball 1, Red and Blue Balls, and Red Ball 3 that also exist. However, these games were not programmed by Evgeny, with the entire job being outsourced to other people. These ports are known for being somewhat sloppy in comparison to their Flash counterparts, while also having completely different physics. The Red Ball 1 port contains more levels than the Flash release, but the additional packs are uninspired and cost real money to purchase. This concludes part 1 of analyzing the Red Ball speedrunning iceberg. Tiers 1, 2, and 3 have now been fully explained, representing the tip, the lower surface, and the area of the iceberg just below the surface. In the next part, we will truly dive into the depths, exploring topics that can only be categorized as unknown and theoretical, with the light becoming dimmer and dimmer the deeper we travel. I hope you enjoyed watching, and make sure to stay tuned for part 2.